Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Hope you are great. I am sure you all may have heard or seen a video of a white woman who failed an essay. I think she scored zero over whatever the mark was, right? And then she decided to use her white woman's tears to make things in favor of her. You and I already know how a white woman tear is more than it will definitely bring down the roof and all that. Number one, I want you to know that she did not follow the rule, and that is disgusting. And she is out there crying wolf. When you are writing an essay, there is need for you to reference. That is what they call citing. When you cite where you are getting, even if it's from Bible, you cite the Bible verse and all that, put it down. King James or old version and all that, right? Whichever one, because her essay, she actually made her essay a Bible based essay. And now she is calling on the university for the university to act. Now, let me tell us something. I think it's really very vital that school should separate religion from education, because I think for some people it's really causing a whole lot of problem. And you and I also know that Republicans, and I don't know why Republicans are very upset when everyone is not doing what they want, They want freedom and no government control. Like, they want life to be the way they say it, or everything the way they say it, not the way it should be. Let's get into this video.
Doing the right thing by putting the TA on administrative leave. If you can't, do your job right in any setting, you get fired. So I think it's, justified. I never meant to offend that TA or offend transgender people and make them think that, that they're demonic or that they're not loved by God, because that's not true. My message to the TA would just be that I didn't mean anything I said offensively, or I didn't mean any harm by it, and I definitely don't agree with people online saying mean things about that TA. That was never my intention, and I would just say that God loves him, and God, has a purpose for his life. I think there's a lot of misinformation being spread online about what happened, so I hope to, clear the air and just encourage other believers to be strong in their faith. I do.
If you haven't read Samantha Fulnecky's essay, I'll do it for you. This article was very thought-provoking and caused me to thoroughly evaluate the idea of gender and the role it plays in our society. The article discussed peers using teasing as a way to enforce gender norms. I do not necessarily see this as a problem. God made male and female and made us differently from each other on purpose and for a purpose. God is very intentional with what he makes, and I believe trying to change that would only do more harm. Gender roles and tendencies should not be considered stereotypes. Women naturally want to do womanly things because God created us with those womanly desires in our hearts. The same goes for men. God created men in the image of his courage and strength, and he created women in the image of his beauty. He intentionally created women differently than men, and we should live our lives with that in mind. It is frustrating to me when I read articles like this and discussion posts from my classmates of so many people trying to conform to the same mundane opinion, so they do not step on other people's toes. I think that is a cowardly and insincere way to live. It is important to use the freedom of speech we have been given in this country, and I personally believe that eliminating gender in our society would be detrimental, as it pulls us farther from God's original plan for humans. It is perfectly normal for kids to follow gender stereotypes because that is how God made us. The reason so many girls want to feel womanly and care for others in a motherly way is not because they feel pressure to fit into social norms. It is because God created and chose them to reflect his beauty and his compassion in that way. In Genesis, God says that it is not good for man to be alone, so he created a helper for man, which is a woman. Many assume the word helper in this context to be condescending and offensive to women. However, the original word in Hebrew is azer kenegdo, and that directly translates to helper and equal. Additionally, God describes himself in the Bible using azer kenegdo, or helper, and he describes his Holy Spirit as helper as well. This shows the importance God places on the role of the helper, woman's role. God does not view women as less significant than men. He created us with such intentional and care, and he made women in his image of being a helper and in the image of his beauty. If leaning into the role means I am following gender stereotypes, then I am happy to follow a stereotype that aligns with the gifts and abilities God gave me as a woman. I do not think men and women are pressured to be more masculine or feminine. I strongly disagree with the idea from the article that encouraging acceptance of diverse gender expressions could improve students' confidence. Society pushing the idea that there are multiple genders and everyone should be whatever they want to be is demonic and severely harms American youth. I do not want us to be teased or bullied in school. However, pushing the line that everyone has their own truth and everyone can do whatever they want and be whoever they want is not biblically whatsoever. The Bible says that our lives are not our own, but that our lives and bodies belong to the Lord for his glory. I live my life based on this truth and firmly believe that there would be less gender issues and insecurities in children if they were raised knowing that they do not belong to themselves, but they belong to the Lord. Overall, reading articles such as this one encourages me one day to raise my children knowing that they have a heavenly Father who loves them and cherishes them deeply, and that having their identity firmly rooted who he is will give them the satisfaction and acceptance that the world can never provide for them. My prayer for the world, and especially for American society and youth, is that they would not believe the lies being spread from Satan that make them believe they are better off as another gender than what God made them. I pray that they feel God's love and acceptance as who he originally created them to be. I'm a reader, y'all. This is a clunky read. This is awful. This is awful. She ain't get an F because she Christian. She got an F because she can't write. This is terrible. I read. This is awful. Y'all have a good night.
I do think they're doing the right thing by putting the TA on administrative leave. If you can't...
I expect nothing less from Oklahoma University. In Oklahoma. I expect nothing less. Of course, the teacher, the TA, has to go bye-bye. Because Samantha Fulnecki is the real victim. From the state that I'm pretty sure has the 10 Commandments all over the University of Oklahoma and are in last place in everything. Mississippi looks at Oklahoma going, y'all need to fix y'all shit. Because this is what it's about. This is what it's about. Nothing to do with education. I expect nothing less than what is going on in the University of Oklahoma right now. Because I don't expect anything less from the state of fucking Oklahoma. Listen, how well is this Jesus first, last, and everything going? Aren't you like Nebraska getting ready to go bankrupt? Don't y'all have a hole in the budget that you can literally put the University of Oklahoma in? And the TA gets removed. But this woman, who didn't even fucking do the assignment as ordered, as fucking told in the syllabus, she gets to stay and get on television. I expect nothing less out of Oklahoma. Nothing. This is the state that literally waited until 3 old black people died so that they wouldn't have to pay out any sort of restitution for them being survivors of the Tulsa race massacre. Now you get a chance to pretend like it never fucking happened. I expect nothing less out of Oklahoma. I expect nothing less out of the University of Oklahoma, because you have Oklahoma in your name. I expect nothing less. All y'all are is a football college. That's it. There's nothing else. Nothing else. Jesus everywhere. Education we really football. I expect none less. None less. Oklahoma is a disappointment all the way the fuck around. Y'all find out just keeps happening to you, and y'all continue to fuck around. I expect none less. None less. This Samantha Full-Necky shit shows me that Oklahoma ain't worth the fuck. It's just not. It's just fucking not. Last in everything. Plenty of Jesus, no education whatsoever. Oh, and by the way, we want to not talk about an atrocity that our state had happen, so we'll just wait for 3 old black people to fucking die. Samantha Full-Necky is the darling for failing what the fuck she was instructed to do. And Oklahoma waited for 3 old black people to die so they didn't have to fucking pay them for what they actually did. I would one hand clap, Oklahoma. One hand clap. Yep. That's exactly what the fuck I expect out of.
Hello and good evening. Listen, let's talk about this girl from Oklahoma with the essay, right? So, first of all, I read just little snippets of this essay, and she knew that thing was terrible. Her and her mama was just trying to antagonize that teacher. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that man, Ryan. You know what I'm talking about, the superintendent. Him. Now, he done jumped in the story, talking about that they need to investigate and the university, and she should not be discriminated against because of her beliefs and the Bible and blah, 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 blah. First of all, sir, weren't you the one caught with porn in your office, on your TV? In your office? Is porn in the Bible? That's what I need to know. Y'all over here worried about the wrong thing. Worried about the wrong thing. Y'all always trying to cram some Bible verse and some shit down people's throat. And if Jesus was walking among y'all right now, y'all probably wouldn't even be nice to the man, because y'all doggone sure ain't following his teachings. But let's get back to your ass. Let's talk about the porn, sir. Did you repent for that? I don't know, is you Catholic, Pentecostal, Baptist? I'm not sure. But did you ask for forgiveness for the porn? That's what we need to know. Because when y'all always want to be in somebody's face telling people how they should live, what they should do, how they should eat, how they should dress, all of that shit, but you over here watching porn. That's what I need to know. Please come to the front and tell us about that, right? And your little friend over there, little Mike over there in Congress, got a porn app so he can gauge how much porn he be watching. This is the thing. Y'all be worried about the wrong things. The wrong things. Really and truly. That's it. That's it. Y'all just over here aggravating people for no reason. We don't be bothering you when you be watching your porn. Just leave the rest of us alone. And that essay was terrible. I don't care how y'all try to defend it. It was terrible. And if that's the kind of writing that she did to get into college, they need to put her ass out. And the second part of that is Oklahoma ranks 5th. The F. 50th. 5th. In education. 50. 50th. In education. Y'all worried about the wrong thing. Really. Leave that lady alone. And mind your business. Okay. Good night.
that OU student Samantha Fulenecki's essay was trash, and I'm not afraid to say it. I have a degree in computer engineering, so I think I'm educated enough to speak about this, but I have read the article, I have read her essay, and I have read the rubric, and her essay deserved that 0. Here are screenshots of her essay right now, so if you want to read it, just pause the video and then continue the video once you're done reading it. Here is the screenshot of the rubric, so if you want to read it, just pause the video here. Lastly, here's a screenshot of the abstract of the article. I'm not going to do the full article because it's a lot of pages, but here's just an abstract of what the article was about. Now, I did read the article, so that abstract is absolutely correct. It's a study based on popularity and gender. Once again, it's a study. It has data points, it has research, it has multiple numbers in it. Samantha's essay had nothing related to the article in it. No data points, no research, no numbers. It had nothing. All she did was literally say the article. So let's just start there. 10 points are already gone because she didn't reference the article at all. Once again, because her essay didn't relate to the article at all, she did not give any type of reflection on anything about the article because she never referenced it. The best example I can give to y'all to explain it is that imagine that there's an article that mentions the color green, and I write an essay about the color green. Just because my essay is about the color green does not mean I wrote my essay based off that article. I just wrote my essay based off something that was mentioned in the article. And the last thing on that rubric says, is the writing clear enough to follow without multiple rereadings? No. I took her essay and put it into Grammarly, 25 writing issues. If we were to take 0.2 points away from each writing issue, she would have not gotten the full 5 points at all. Grammarly thinks that she's writing at a 9th to 10th grade level. How did she make it into college? She did not follow the rubric. I don't think she actually even read the study, and the only reason she got a 0 on her assignment is because her essay was abysmal. That's it. I don't know why we're going too deep in it. If you'd have just read the abstract of the article, her essay, and the rubric, you would have figured out why she had a 0. She wrote her essay trying to reference the Bible, but didn't even write what scripture she's talking about. I could keep going on and on about this. Her essay was just bad, but let me know what y'all think. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I hate to even say this, but if you work in the field of higher education, be on the lookout for more grifts to come, such as the one that OU student just pulled off with that essay. Because let me tell y'all, if my research is correct, that young lady is not dumb by a long shot, okay? She is strategically using white woman tears to launch her career. But based off of my research, she graduated from Nixa High School. There are 725 high schools in the state of Missouri. Nixa is ranked number 20. And if I recall correctly, she graduated with a 3.4 GPA. In addition to that, she's also part of a sorority. You know who can't be part of sororities? Dumb people. You have to maintain a certain GPA, okay? So she's not dumb. She wrote that essay the way she did intentionally, y'all. She's a grifter. She has no solid foundation for morals, values, nor ethics, okay? She's not rooted in shit but money. That's it. This is all a grift. But be on the lookout for those type of students because they are certainly.
On the Samantha Fulenecki OU incident, I need folks to be really clear that this is happening intentionally. This is not by happenstance. This is not a student who just so happened to write a paper in this class, right? This is intentional. That student is working with Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization, which has for the last decade been terrorizing professors, particularly Black women, on college campuses across this country. And I do not believe for a single second that this is just a paper that Samantha Fulenecki happened to write in this class, and it just so happened to be this professor, and it just so happened to be at this university, right? Because if you notice when things like this happen, it's always either a graduate student or an adjunct who is the instructor for the course, right? And that's because graduate students and adjuncts do not have the same protections that tenured and tenure line faculty have. And so then it's much easier to have them face the repercussions when something like this happens, right? If you were to do this to a tenured faculty member, there would have no impact. Whereas when you are doing something like this to a grad student, which is what Samantha Fulenecki has done, you can more quickly enact the sort of vengeance that you want to see. And again, this is happening intentionally because Republicans fucking hate higher education and they hate universities largely because Republicans and conservatives have not been able to gain a real foothold or any real power within the university, and they fucking hate that. And they want that to be different, right? And they are afraid of ideas that do not support the Republican and conservative agenda being espoused, and the university is a sort of key site through which this happens. So do not believe Samantha Fulenecki Polnecki for a single second when she is telling us that this is just a paper she just so happened to write. That's not true. This is a part of a long-term Republican and conservative agenda to undermine the university, right, and to make themselves victims and martyrs using the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, right? Like, this is intentional. This is planned. This is not just some student acting. No, they have. This is a plan.
Y'all gotta stop saying Samantha Polnecki is mediocre, because she's not. She really isn't, bruh. She's less than mediocre. She's below average. How do you, as a college junior, not meet just like the 650 word limit? That's ridiculous. That's unacceptable. And even if it's like an intellectual thing or just being lazy, that's unacceptable as a college junior. You should know better. That's ridiculous. This situation is dumb as hell because she's getting rewarded for failing miserably, bruh. And it really just goes to show how hypocritical that MAGA is, right? Because this whole situation is what they said. They were saying DEI is getting rewarded for doing nothing and having no skill and no talent. Like that's exactly what they're doing for Samantha. And it's ridiculous because there's these people on the right that are going into these fields like psychology, medicine, and things like that. And they're trying to get in there to indoctrinate children and to put their viewpoints into these fields that they want to get into, but they're not smart enough to do it. And they're getting rewarded for not being smart. Like, this is fucking nuts. But God forbid a black person who is smart enough and works hard enough and is qualified enough benefit from affirmative.
There's an alarming rise in illiteracy in this country, because what do you mean a teacher was put on academic probation for giving this essay a 0? It is frustrating to me when I read articles like this and discussion posts from my classmates of so many people trying to conform to the same mundane opinion so they do not step on people's toes. What does any of this have to do with a research article on middle schoolers conforming to gender norms? For reference, this is the article she was supposed to write on: Relations Among Gender Typicality, Peer Relations, and Mental Health During Early Adolescence. In this paper, they found that middle school boys and girls were more likely to be popular if they conformed to standard gender norms, and more likely to be bullied if they did not abide by these norms. Which brings me back to this. It is frustrating to me when I read articles like this, but why? This whole paper is a diatribe saying that gender norms are supported by the Bible, but the article never said that gender norms were bad. In fact, it kind of supports her worldview by showing that people who abide by gender norms are more likely to be popular. Did you read the article? Between implying that she doesn't agree with the article even though the article supports her worldview, and then randomly throwing in freedom of speech in an article about gender norms amongst middle schoolers. This isn't a paper, it's an agenda. At the very least, cite the Bible properly. The Bible isn't one book, it's 66 if you're Protestant. Cite them accordingly.
I'm going to jump in on this OU essay conversation. As a person whose degrees are in all forms of writing, English, journalism, and film, and as someone who has taught on the undergraduate level at 2 different institutions and has been an academic advisor on the university level, the children have never been able to write. Come with me for this story time. So I taught film analysis on the undergraduate level, not going to name the institution. And this class was filled with mostly upperclassmen, so no freshmen in my class. In order to pass the class, we would watch films. I would teach story elements, production elements, etc., so people could understand how the choices that were being made for the film made you feel something or sent you messages or themes or whatever, right? So the way for me to understand if you understood was for you to write essays. As a matter of fact, there were only 2 or 3 essays to write, which means if you failed one of them, do the math. So after getting like the homework assignments back, I realized that these upperclassmen didn't know the basics of writing an essay. And as I said about my degrees, MLA was my bag back then. I'm not as familiar now because I am a screenwriter now, which is totally different form of writing. But I realized that they were lacking in these areas. So I took the time in my class to teach what a thesis statement is, where it should appear, how the following paragraphs should be evidence of your thesis, your hypothesis, whatever it is that you're stating, and how to do a works cited page or bibliography. I literally wrote it on the whiteboard. and we went through it, because I'm not one of those teachers who expects you to do something if I haven't shown you how to do it. Okay, so we did that. Now in my class, if your thesis statement wasn't on the first page, I gave them the whole first page, even though it should be in the first paragraph. If your thesis statement wasn't on the first page, and if you did not include a works cited page or a bibliography, I gave you a 0. You get the 0 because this is your opportunity to resubmit. If I didn't give you a 0 and just decided to grade it, then you would fail. Okay, so this is me giving you an opportunity to pass. So here I am passing the papers back, because this was 15 years ago, and a young girl, a senior, comes up to me crashing out. She's upset that she got a 0. I explained to her, you have a 0 because you don't have a works cited page. She looks me in my eye and says, I have never heard of a works cited page. No one has ever told me that I needed that before. So she said that she made it all the way through high school without learning about citing sources or making a bibliography. Now, had she just said, oh my gosh, I forgot, can I go create one and resubmit it? I would have said yes. But she goes into this tirade of how she took this class because it was supposed to be easy. And now this is messing up her grades, and she's supposed to graduate this year. It was the entitlement that made me respond with, well, what I find alarming is that you're a senior about to graduate into the world and you can't write. So I say all of that to say this is not new. The children have been not learning how to correctly write in high school, and they have been being admitted into these colleges and universities without knowing how to write, and they have been entitled in feeling they should pass the class even though they are not following the instructions that have been said. But as I say to my screenwriters, happy writing.
I do think they're doing the right thing by putting the TA on administrative leave.
I'm an AP and International Baccalaureate Certified English teacher. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. Her essay response was not just her opinion. Any opinion given on an academic level needs to be based on logic and reason. And the way that you demonstrate that your opinion has logic and reason behind it is that you provide credible sources and connections that back up your logic and reasoning for having the opinion that you have. She didn't do that. That's why she failed. But even beyond that, she called trans people demonic in her response. God has given her no authority to deem who is demonic and not demonic, but I do think that the TA should not have given her a 0, but not for the reason that you think. See, I grew up in the South evangelical, and the evangelical narrative always will be us versus them. And that college student, Samantha, she's an evangelical Karen. She knew exactly what she was doing. And this is where you have to play politics as a teacher in public education. Of course she was going to claim religious discrimination after getting a 0 on this, because that reinforces the evangelical narrative. There is not a doubt in my mind, with all the publicity and support throwing her into the national spotlight, she believes God has selected her specifically for this particular mission in her life, to stand against the devil and reveal God's objective truth, which just so happens to coincide with every single one of her religious beliefs. Now, isn't that a coincidence? I've taught in the South. I know these type of kids. I grew up like one of these kids. And if I was that professor, I would have given her a 70 and moved on with my life. Because this is the game that Christian nationalism plays. It's straight from the turn.
I do think they're doing the right thing by putting the TA on administrative leave. If you can't, do your job right in any setting, you get fired. So I think it's, justified.
So you're saying your teacher couldn't do their job right, so they should be on administrative leave. So by that same standard, you didn't do the essay right, so you should get a 0. Did another teacher graded this too, and you got a 0 again? Like, let's be for real now. The conservatives that gotta defend you gotta close their eyes to your essay just to defend you. Watch one of the videos defending you. I bet they won't even pull up your essay, because they know it's that bad. They just trying to push this agenda, this anti-trans agenda. That's all they trying to push, and they using you for it. And this is why all the honoring Charlie Kirk and the Dr. King appearances are straight bull. Anybody that looked up to Dr. King wouldn't be doing any bullshit like this. Trying to get your teacher fired because you're a Christian in the name of the Lord.
If you can't, do your job right in any setting, you get fired. So
I'm so glad she could get the concept that if you don't do your job right, you get fired, but could not get the concept that if you don't do your homework assignment right, you get an F. I can't stand this woman, and she's an anti-intellectual. She shouldn't even be at a college. She should be at a theology school if she wants to go about writing papers about God in college. And you should too, if you agree.
This is all I got from this video. I don't know how to start. I want to laugh. But at the same time, I don't want to laugh because some people think they can, their privilege is always good enough for them, is more than enough for them to launch anything. That is one of the reasons why she started with white woman's cry or white woman's tears. You know how a white woman's tears can pull the roof, bring mountain down and all that. I think all of them, it's just, I saw their essay. I wanted to talk about this for so long, but I don't know why it took me a lot of time to get on it. So I decided to take a look at her essay, why she scored 0, right? And then analyze what her problem is and why she scored 0. While I was going through that, all I can say is that some people think that they can, that once they come out to cry over some certain things, that they will get away with it. Like it will probably launch a career for them, because things like this always launch a career for them. And you see all this kind of turning point mindset. You know what I am saying? All of them is just a whole disgrace. Now, let me tell them this. I think it's high time they start separating Christianity and or religion from education. There is need to separate religion from education. And moreover, Oklahoma is just a weird ass state. Seriously. I'm sorry that I am everywhere, but I still have to touch it, because what Bishop Thomas said is actually true about the victims, that they ended up not doing anything for them, not until they passed. The truth is that I think Oklahoma University, admitted that that university and other far-right red states, university, colleges, and all that school district do actually have a single sheet about education. Do not because if you are well taught or you learn properly, you definitely will know that the essay you studied like this without any reference, that is what they call it's called citing. When you get an information, you're cited. You think because it's essay and the fact that they want to even put their own religion, I don't know why their religion always reflects on some certain things, especially when it comes to essay, right? What does your religion got to do with the essay that you were asked to write? So I also listened to a lot of people and what they had to say about it. And everybody's still saying that she didn't follow the rules and she is making hella noise. How come you did not follow the rules when it comes to writing, and you are here trying to cry out wolf so that we will pity you, or so that what will happen? I don't know. And why are Republicans they are always very upset? Everyone is not doing what they want. We will not continue. Everybody will not do what you want, probably because you are a Republican. I don't know if one of the people that spoke said this is more like a well-planned something, things that they always do to get attention and pity party and probably launch a career out of it. If that is what she is planning to do, she must really be crazy, Man, I am just going to draw the curtain here. Bye for now.